A powerful transition has already moved through you, and even if you couldn't name it at the time, you felt the aftershock. Something deep shifted, not on the surface of your life, but underneath it, where identity, memory, and meaning quietly live. That is why familiar patterns now feel foreign, why certain people no longer recognize you, and why pieces of your old life seem unable to follow you forward. This is not confusion. This is a reset, a quantum reset that altered how you relate to yourself, to time, and to what you are willing to carry. What I'm about to reveal next may change how you see everything that has been falling apart lately. You may notice a strange mix of grief and relief. Grief for what once felt safe, even if it was heavy. Relief because something inside you can finally breathe. This combination can feel uncomfortable because the mind wants clear answers, but the soul works through recognition. You are not losing your life. You are outgrowing a version of it that can no longer hold who you have become. That is why forcing things to stay the same now feels painful instead of stabilizing. There is something very important you need to understand. What cannot come with you is not being taken from you. It is being released for your protection. Before continuing the message, write this mantra in the comments. I release the past with gratitude and allow my true path to rise. Do this slowly and with intention. Now continuing the message. This reset was not triggered by one single event. It was activated by accumulation, small moments where you chose honesty over approval, quiet decisions where you listened to your inner voice instead of the noise around you. Times when you walked away emotionally before you were able to walk away physically. Each of those moments built pressure, and when the pressure reached its peak, the old structure could no longer sustain you. That is when the reset occurred, not as punishment but as recalibration. You might be questioning why certain doors closed without warning, or why situations collapsed even when you were trying to do the right thing. The answer is simple, though not easy to accept. Those doors were aligned with a form of frequency. Once your internal state changed, those external realities could no longer remain stable. Trying to reopen them now would feel like trying to fit into clothes that no longer match your body. The discomfort you feel when looking back is confirmation that the shift is real. There is also a deeper layer to this experience. After a quantum reset, the nervous system needs time to adjust. That is why you may feel tired without explanation, detached from things you once cared about, or unusually sensitive to noise, conflict, or chaos. Your system is learning a new baseline. Silence becomes more attractive. Solitude feels restorative rather than lonely, and shallow interactions may feel draining instead of entertaining. This is not withdrawal. This is refinement. You are being guided to see that your old life was built around survival, adaptation, and endurance. Your new life requires presence, discernment, and self-trust. That is why certain relationships cannot follow. Some were bonded through shared wounds, not shared growth. Some roles you played were rooted in being needed, not being seen. The reset dissolved those contracts, and although part of you may still feel responsible for holding things together, that responsibility is no longer yours. Pay attention to what no longer responds to effort. If something requires force now, it is misaligned. What is meant for this new phase will respond to clarity, not struggle. It will meet you where you are, not where you used to be. This is why chasing feels exhausting and waiting feels strangely calm. You are no longer meant to convince, prove, or overextend. Your presence alone is enough. There may be moments when you worry that you are becoming cold or distant. You are not. You are becoming precise. Your energy is learning where to go and where not to leak. This precision can feel unfamiliar if you were conditioned to equate love with sacrifice. But love in this phase is clean. It does not demand self-abandonment. It does not ask you to shrink. It does not thrive on confusion. What cannot adjust to this clarity will naturally fall away. The reset also altered your sense of time. You may feel impatient with delays, yet uninterested in rushing. This paradox exists because you are no longer motivated by urgency rooted in fear. You are motivated by alignment. You understand, even if only intuitively, that what is truly yours will not require anxiety to obtain. This understanding changes how you move, how you speak, and how you decide. Notice how your inner dialogue has shifted. You no longer ask, "How do I make this work?" but instead, Does this honor who I am now? That question alone collapses many old options, and that is why the old life cannot stay. It was built to answer different questions. You are not here to fix what was. You are here to live what is next. If part of you feels suspended between worlds, that is natural. The old structure has dissolved, but the new one is still forming. This space is not empty, it is fertile. Resist the urge to fill it with distractions or familiar pain. Something is reorganizing in your favor, even if it has not yet taken shape. Trust this process, not blindly but consciously. You are not starting over from nothing. You are starting from truth, and truth simplifies everything it touches. This reset did not erase you, it returned you to yourself. If this message is reaching you right now, let us know where you're watching from. Write your city in the comments and feel how this space connects beyond distance. What you're experiencing now is the stabilization phase after the reset. The first wave broke structures. This second phase teaches you how to stand without them. Many people misunderstand this moment and think something is wrong because life feels quieter, slower, or strangely undefined. But this is the phase where your system recalibrates to truth instead of habit. You are learning how to exist without constantly bracing for impact, and that takes time. You may notice that your reactions have changed. Things that once triggered immediate emotional responses now feel distant. Not because you stopped caring, but because your inner center is no longer located where it used to be. You are not operating from old wounds anymore. You are responding from awareness. This is why drama feels exhausting, and emotional intensity without purpose feels hollow. Your system is rejecting excess noise. This can feel lonely at first. When you no longer resonate with familiar emotional loops, conversations may feel shallow or repetitive. People may try to pull you back into old dynamics by reminding you who you used to be. They may say you've changed, that you're different, that you're harder to read. They are right, but what they often mean is that you are no longer predictable in ways that benefited them. The reset removed unconscious access points. Before we go deeper, pause for a moment and write this in the comments. 444. Do it as a quiet signal that you are ready to stabilize what has already shifted. And if this message is supporting you in this phase, there is a gentle way to keep it flowing. If you feel moved, the thanks button below helps sustain the sharing of messages like this, allowing more clarity and grounding to reach those who need it. Now, continuing. During this phase, you are being trained in discernment. Not everything deserves a response. Not every emotion requires expression. Not every invitation is meant to be accepted. You are learning the difference between availability and alignment. Availability is rooted in obligation. Alignment is rooted in choice. This distinction alone changes how your life unfolds. There may be moments when you miss the intensity of your old life. Intensity can feel like aliveness when calm feels unfamiliar, but intensity is not depth, it is stimulation. What you are entering now is deeper, quieter, and far more stable. It does not spike and crash, it builds and sustains. That may feel boring to parts of you that learn to equate chaos with meaning. Give those parts patience. They are learning something new. Notice how your body responds to this new rhythm. You may crave more rest, more water, more space. Your senses may be sharper. Your tolerance for dishonesty, even subtle dishonesty, may be lower than ever. This is not intolerance. It is integrity emerging at the nervous system level. Your body is now aligned with your internal truth, not just your thoughts. You are also becoming aware of energetic exchanges. After the reset, your system no longer compensates for imbalance. If someone takes more than they give, you feel it immediately. If a space feels heavy, your body wants to leave. If a commitment drains you, your chest tightens. These are not inconveniences, they are guidance. You no longer need to rationalize discomfort. You can trust it. This is why the old life cannot return. It required you to override these signals. It asked you to ignore your own responses to keep things functioning. That era is over. You are not meant to survive anymore. You are meant to live with clarity, and clarity does not negotiate with misalignment. You may also feel a strange neutrality toward outcomes. Things you once chased now feel optional. Things you once feared now feel manageable. This neutrality is power. It means your sense of self is no longer dependent on external validation or control. you are anchored internally. From this place, decisions become simpler, even when they are not easy. Some people will fade naturally during this phase, not through conflict, but through quiet distance. Conversations shorten, invitations stop coming. You may feel a brief sadness, followed by a deep sense of rightness. This is not loss, this is sorting. What is compatible with your current state will remain. What is not will exit without drama. You might wonder what comes next. The answer is not an event, it is a way of being. The next phase is built through consistency, not intensity. Through small, aligned choices repeated daily. Through honoring your energy instead of explaining it. Through allowing your life to reflect who you are now, not who you were trained to be. There is no rush. The reset already happened. Now you are learning how to inhabit the version of yourself that survived it. This takes patience, gentleness, and trust. And you are doing it correctly, even on days when it feels unclear. You are not behind. You are not missing anything. You are integrating something most people never slow down enough to feel. Stay with it. This phase is shaping the foundation for everything that comes next. As your inner structure stabilizes, support that works with your system rather than against it can be deeply beneficial. Some people choose to reinforce this phase through intentional practices that combine ancient understanding with modern science, using carefully designed sound frequencies to activate the body's natural potential. Just a few minutes a day can help reinforce clarity, open new paths to prosperity, and support experiences that feel genuinely transformative. If this resonates, there is something aligned with this process available in the first pinned comment. What begins to surface now is a subtle but undeniable sense of authorship over your own life. Not control in the rigid sense, but authorship in the way a writer understands a story from the inside. You are no longer reacting to the plot as it happens to you. You are noticing themes, patterns, and motivations with clarity. This awareness changes how you participate. You stop asking why something happened and start noticing what it is asking of you. That shift marks the true completion of the reset. At this stage, your intuition becomes quieter but more precise. It no longer shouts through urgency or anxiety. It speaks through calm certainty. You may feel less compelled to explain yourself, less interested in defending your choices, and more comfortable letting silence do the work. This is because your inner authority is no longer outsourced. You trust your internal signals enough to let others misunderstand you if needed. This can be unsettling if you were once validated by being agreeable, helpful, or emotionally available on demand. When those reflexes fall away, there can be a brief identity gap. Who am I if I am not constantly responding to others? The answer emerges slowly. You are someone who responds to life from alignment, not obligation. That realization brings relief, followed by strength. You may also notice a shift in how you experience desire. Wanting no longer feels like lack. Goals no longer feel like escape routes. Instead, desire becomes directional. It points without pulling. You can hold a vision without chasing it. This is a sign that your nervous system is no longer using longing as fuel. It is using trust. During this phase, synchronicities may appear less dramatic, but more consistent. Instead of sudden shocks or emotional highs, you experience steady confirmation. The right information appears at the right time. Conversations align without effort. Decisions feel obvious rather than complicated. This does not mean life becomes effortless. It means friction becomes meaningful instead of draining. There may still be moments of doubt. Integration is not linear. Old fears can resurface briefly, especially when you encounter environments that resemble your past. But notice how quickly your system recovers now. You do not spiral the way you once did. You recognize the signal, adjust and return to center. That resilience is new, it is earned. You are also learning how to hold joy without bracing for loss. In the old structure, happiness was often followed by vigilance. You waited for the other shoe to drop. Now joy can exist without tension. You allow good moments to be complete without anticipating their end. This is one of the most profound effects of the reset. It restores your capacity to receive. As you continue forward, you may feel drawn to simplify. Fewer commitments, clearer routines, more intentional use of time. This is not minimalism as a trend. It is coherence as a necessity. Your system functions best when your external life mirrors your internal clarity. Excess now feels like interference. You may also find yourself redefining success. Metrics that once mattered lose their grip. Comparison feels irrelevant. What replaces them is a sense of internal congruence. You know when something fits, you know when it does not, and you trust yourself enough to act accordingly, even if the choice is not understood by others. This is where true freedom begins. Not the freedom to do anything, but the freedom to do what is right for you without negotiation. The reset removed the need to justify your inner truth. It gave you permission to live from it. You are not waiting for life to stabilize. You are the stabilizing factor now. Wherever you go, your presence sets the tone. That is why certain spaces feel different when you enter them. That is why some people feel calmer around you, even if they cannot explain why. Your system carries coherence, and coherence influences everything it touches. There is nothing you need to force in this phase, nothing you need to prove. The work now is subtle and powerful. Stay honest with yourself, honor your energy, and allow your life to reorganize around who you have already become. This is not the beginning. It is not the end. It is the embodiment of the shift you already survived. And from this place, whatever unfolds next will meet you as an equal, not a test. What deepens now is your relationship with uncertainty. Before the reset, uncertainty felt like danger. It triggered planning, overthinking, and the need to secure outcomes. Now, uncertainty feels more like open space. Not always comfortable, but no longer threatening. You understand at a level beyond logic that not knowing does not mean unsafe. It means unfinished. And unfinished does not require panic. You may notice that your mind has fewer arguments with reality. You no longer spend as much energy resisting what is. Acceptance is not resignation here. It is accuracy. You see situations more clearly without layering them with old expectations. This clarity reduces suffering in ways that surprise you. Problems still exist, but they do not invade your identity. They remain situational, not personal. This phase also brings a recalibration of boundaries, not the rigid kind built from fear, but organic boundaries that arise from self-respect. You don't announce them, you live them. When something crosses a line, your body signals it immediately, and you respond without internal debate. This is new. Previously, you might have negotiated with discomfort. Now, you honor it. There is a quiet confidence growing in you. It does not need affirmation, it does not announce itself. It shows up in how you pause before responding, how you choose your words, how you walk away without needing the last explanation. This confidence is not built on certainty about the future. It is built on trust in your ability to handle whatever comes. You may find that your tolerance for misalignment has dropped to zero. Situations that once lingered now resolve quickly, either through change or exit. This is not impatience, it is efficiency. Your system is optimized now. It no longer wastes energy maintaining what drains you. This can make life feel cleaner, but also emptier at first. That emptiness is temporary. It is making room. You are also redefining connection. You no longer bond through shared frustration or survival stories. You seek resonance, not reassurance. Conversations that stay on the surface lose their appeal. You value presence more than performance, depth more than frequency. This may reduce your circle, but it increases your sense of belonging. There may be moments when you question whether you are becoming detached. But detachment implies disinterest. What you are experiencing is discernment. You are fully capable of care, but you are no longer consumed by it. You can witness without absorbing, support without self-erasure. This balance is a direct result of the reset. Your relationship with effort is changing too. You still work, still apply yourself, but strain is no longer your default mode. You recognize when effort is productive and when it is compensatory. When something requires constant pushing, you pause instead of doubling down. This pause often reveals a better path, one that was invisible when you were forcing movement. You may notice that decisions now arrive fully formed, less pros and cons, less external validation. You feel the answer first, then let the mind catch up. This is integration. The parts of you that once competed are now cooperating. Intuition and logic are no longer at odds. They are aligned toward the same direction. As this alignment deepens, you may experience moments of profound stillness. Not numbness, but stillness. A sense that everything is temporarily suspended. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything is recalibrated. These moments are not gaps. They are resets within the reset. Micro-adjustments that fine-tune your system. You are also releasing the need to be understood by everyone. Misunderstanding no longer feels like failure. It feels neutral. You know who you are. That knowing stabilizes you in ways external clarity never could. When others project old versions of you, it no longer destabilizes your sense of self. This phase is teaching you how to live without internal resistance. That does not mean life becomes smooth. It means friction no longer fractures you. You bend, adapt, and continue without losing coherence. This is resilience without hardness. You are not waiting for permission anymore. Not from people, circumstances, or timing. When something aligns, you move. When it doesn't, you don't. This simplicity is powerful. It frees enormous amounts of energy that were once spent on doubt. The reset did not make you someone else. It removed what was never truly yours. And now, what remains is learning how to live from that truth, one aligned choice at a time. What emerges next is a different relationship with power. Not power as dominance or control, but power as self-containment. You are no longer leaking energy into situations that cannot meet you. You are no longer waiting for external permission to feel settled inside yourself. This kind of power is quiet, almost invisible, but it changes everything. It allows you to stay present without bracing, to speak honestly without rehearsing, and to move forward without dragging the past behind you. You may notice that your sense of urgency has dissolved. Deadlines still exist, responsibilities still matter, but the frantic edge is gone. You no longer believe that everything hinges on one decision or one moment. You understand that life responds to consistency more than intensity. This understanding softens you without weakening you. It makes you steady. There is also a growing neutrality toward approval. Compliments land, but they do not inflate you. Criticism appears, but it does not collapse you. You are no longer outsourcing your worth to feedback loops. This does not make you indifferent. It makes you anchored. From this place, you can listen without absorbing, consider without surrendering, and adjust without self-betrayal. You may find that your memory is changing, not in what you remember, but in how you remember it. Past experiences no longer carry the same emotional charge. Stories that once defined you now feel like information rather than identity. This emotional neutrality is not erasure. It is integration. The past has been metabolized. It no longer needs to repeat itself to be acknowledged. Your inner world has become more spacious. Thoughts come and go without hooking you as deeply. Emotions move through you without demanding interpretation. You are less compelled to label everything. Silence between thoughts feels natural rather than uncomfortable. This spaciousness allows creativity, insight, and rest to coexist without conflict. You are also becoming more selective with meaning. You no longer assign significance to every interaction or obstacle. Some things are simply neutral events. This discernment reduces mental fatigue. It frees your attention for what truly matters. You are learning that not everything requires a story. There may be moments when you look around and realize that your life feels unfamiliar, even though nothing dramatic has changed on the surface. This unfamiliarity is not disorientation. It is recalibration. You are seeing your environment through a new lens, one that is no longer shaped by old fears or expectations. This lens reveals options that were always present, but previously invisible. You may also feel a subtle pull toward contribution rather than validation. The question shifts from, how am I being seen, to what am I offering? This shift is not about proving value. It is about expressing coherence. When what you offer aligns with who you are, effort feels natural and sustainable. Your relationship with mistakes is changing too. You no longer interpret them as evidence of failure. They are data, feedback, adjustments. This reduces self-punishment and increases adaptability. You recover faster. You learn cleaner. You move on without carrying unnecessary weight. There is a growing trust in timing. Not passive waiting, but active patience. You recognize when action is required and when restraint is wiser. You no longer confuse movement with progress. Sometimes stillness is the most strategic choice. This discernment prevents burnout and preserves clarity. You may notice that people respond to you differently now. Some feel drawn to your calm, others feel unsettled by it. This is not something to manage. It is information. Your presence is no longer neutral. It reflects coherence, and coherence highlights contrast. What aligns will approach, what does not will retreat. This phase is not about becoming more. It is about becoming clearer. Clear about your limits, clear about your values, clear about what you are no longer willing to tolerate. This clarity simplifies your life in ways that compound over time. You are no longer preparing for the reset. You are living from its outcome. And as this continues, your life will not expand through force or ambition, but through alignment. What enters now will stay because it fits. What stays will grow because it is supported. Nothing about this is accidental. You are not drifting. You are stabilizing into a version of yourself that no longer fractures under pressure. And from this place, whatever comes next will not need to break you to shape you. What settles in now is a deep sense of internal orientation. You no longer scan the outside world to decide how to feel or who to be. Your reference point has moved inward, and it stays there even when circumstances shift. This is one of the most understated yet radical outcomes of the reset. You are no longer governed by reaction. You are guided by alignment. You may notice that your thoughts feel less crowded. There is more space between them, and within that space, clarity emerges naturally. You don't need to solve everything immediately. Some answers arrive through understanding, others through timing. You trust that distinction now. The pressure to constantly analyze has softened, replaced by an ability to observe without urgency. This phase also brings a refined relationship with fear. Fear still appears, but it no longer dominates. You recognize it as information rather than instruction. Instead of asking how to eliminate fear, you ask what it is pointing to. Often it highlights edges of growth, not danger. This reframe allows you to move forward without suppressing parts of yourself. You are also learning how to hold complexity without fragmentation. Two truths can exist at once without canceling each other. You can feel grief and gratitude in the same breath. You can honor the past without wanting to return to it. This emotional maturity is not forced. It is the natural result of integration. You are no longer split between who you were and who you are becoming. There is a growing ease in how you relate to effort. You no longer overextend to prove commitment. You apply energy where it matters and withdraw it where it doesn't. This conservation is not avoidance, it is precision. You have learned that sustainable progress depends on discernment, not endurance. You may also sense a quiet confidence in your decision-making. Even when outcomes are uncertain, you trust your process. You know how to adjust, you know how to recover. You no longer fear making the wrong choice as intensely because you trust yourself to respond intelligently to whatever unfolds. This trust is foundational. It stabilizes everything else. Your relationship with time continues to evolve. You are less preoccupied with what should have happened by now. Milestones lose their grip. Comparison fades. You understand that your rhythm is not late or early. It is yours. This realization removes a layer of chronic tension you may not have realized you were carrying. There is also a subtle shift in how you experience motivation. You are less driven by pressure and more by resonance. When something aligns, you feel drawn rather than pushed. When it doesn't, disengagement feels clean. This makes your actions more effective because they are rooted in coherence rather than compulsion. You may find yourself naturally simplifying language, habits, even identity. You don't need elaborate explanations anymore. You don't need to narrate your growth. You live it. This quiet embodiment speaks louder than any declaration. People who are attuned will feel it. Others may not notice at all. Either outcome is fine. This phase can feel deceptively ordinary. There are fewer emotional spikes, fewer dramatic turning points, but beneath the surface, something significant is happening. You are stabilizing into yourself. This stability is not static. It is flexible, responsive, and resilient. It allows you to meet life as it is, without armor or collapse. You are also becoming more comfortable with not being everything to everyone. Roles that once defined you loosen. Expectations that once weighed heavily lose relevance. You give from fullness, not from fear of loss. This changes the quality of everything you offer. As this integration continues, your life begins to reflect you more accurately. Not perfectly, but honestly. Adjustments still happen, learning still occurs, but there is no longer a fundamental misalignment between who you are and how you live. That alignment is the true outcome of the reset. You're not waiting for confirmation that this shift is real. You feel it in how you move through the world, in how you recover, in how you choose. This is not a temporary state. It is a new baseline, and from here what unfolds next will build on stability, not survival. What completes itself now is not an event, but an identity. You are no longer transitioning into something unknown. You are settling into something true. The sense of instability that once accompanied change has been replaced by a quiet confidence that does not depend on certainty. You move forward, knowing that even if conditions shift, you remain intact. That is the deepest marker of the reset's completion. You no longer feel the need to rush resolution. Open loops do not agitate you the way they once did. You trust that clarity arrives through lived experience, not forced conclusions. This patience is not passive, it is grounded. It allows life to reveal itself without distortion. You are no longer ahead of yourself or behind yourself. You are where you are, fully. There is a subtle joy in this phase. Not excitement, not euphoria, but contentment without reason. Moments feel sufficient as they are. You notice small details without needing them to mean something more. Presence itself becomes rewarding. This is not detachment from ambition. It is freedom from restlessness. You may realize that your definition of happiness has changed. It is no longer tied to outcomes, recognition, or completion. It lives in coherence, in being able to say yes without hesitation and no without guilt. In choosing rest without justification. In trusting your pace without comparison. This form of happiness is durable. It does not collapse when conditions change. Your relationship with the future is also different. You still envision, still plan, still create direction, but the future no longer feels like an escape from the present. It feels like a continuation. This removes desperation from desire. You are building from stability, not lack. What you move toward now is an extension of who you already are. There is also a final shedding that occurs here. The need to make sense of everything that happened. You no longer require a complete narrative to validate the process. Some things happened because they needed to. Some endings do not require explanation. You release the demand for intellectual closure and accept experiential truth. That acceptance frees you. You may notice that your emotional range feels more balanced. You still feel deeply, but you are not overwhelmed by feeling. Emotions move through you without defining you. You have learned how to be with intensity without becoming it. This emotional regulation is not suppression, it is maturity. People who enter your life now will meet you where you are, not where you were. Dynamics rooted in imbalance no longer sustain themselves. This is not because you reject them, but because they cannot attach. Your baseline has changed. Compatibility is now energetic, not effort-based. You may also feel a growing sense of gratitude, not for specific outcomes, but for your own resilience. You recognize how much you carried, how much you released, how much you learned without instruction. This self-recognition is quiet but profound. It restores respect for yourself. As this phase settles, life may appear simpler on the surface. Fewer dramatic swings, fewer internal battles. But beneath that simplicity is a refined strength. You are no longer building yourself from reaction. You are expressing yourself from stability. Nothing needs to be forced now. Momentum arises naturally from alignment. When something is meant to grow, it grows. When something is meant to end, it ends cleanly. You participate without resistance. That ease is not accidental. It is earned. You have crossed the threshold. The old life could not follow because it was built for a version of you that no longer exists. What exists now is someone who can meet reality without losing themselves, someone who can choose without fear, someone who can trust without blindness. This is not a peak, it is a foundation, and everything that comes next will build from here, not to test you, but to meet you at the level you now inhabit.